Welcome to Talking Business. Actually, it's Talkin' Business. I'm Joe Catrambone. I'm Executive Vice President or CEO of the Stewart Martin County Chamber of Commerce. And my guest today is Dr. Lisa Grassam, who is on our board. She's on our executive board and will be chairman, I think, in 2 years, Doc?
2 years, yes.
So
2 more years.
I'm going to ask her about that later. But before I do that, Doc has a lot of claims to fame, but her most recent claim to fame is Amelia, her little darling daughter. So, give you a chance to talk about her later.
Sure.
And
sure.
But right now, I'd like to find when and how did you come to Martin County?
So I moved here the end of 1998, December 1998, and I moved straight from Marietta, Georgia, where I went to school, where I had got my doctorate. And I moved down here, and my former husband, his father had a practice here, and he was quite ill at the time. So we moved here to help him in the practice, and we thought at the time he was going to recover. He did not, unfortunately. So we weren't licensed here in the state of Florida yet, but we became licensed and we built a practice from scratch, from ground up. So I had a business degree also, so I put together a business plan. I took it to the bank and got a SBA loan way back.
Wow.
And opened up practice. And here I am 22 years later.
Well, I remember. I think the first time we met may have been at one of our. It was at a banquet, wasn't it? Wasn't
yeah,
our
yeah.
annual gala?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that's where you met Doug, right?
That is where Doug and I
Yeah.
met. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. I remember that now. Yeah. So I remember meeting you there. I can't remember. Were you with Janice Norman?
Janice and Jody were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Donna was there. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I remember that now. But I remember that's the first time we met. And I'm sure I don't think you remember then.
Yeah, I was a member.
Did you join?
I was a member, but there were a couple years that I was so busy running the office and having 2 kids that I didn't get out much besides being in the office. But then a couple years after that, then I became very active again.
Very active.
So.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I wish we had more active people like you, as you know. So over the years, I had back issues 40 years ago, and I was afraid of a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. And a friend of my father-in-law's said, "Why don't you go see a chiropractor?" And I said, "Harry, I'm afraid. I'm afraid they're going to hurt me." He said, "Just go visit, get an opinion."
Sure.
And I did. And as you know, I believe in chiropractic ever since. And I think it was a little bit different then, but not a whole lot. And I know, I didn't know this, but every chiropractic college, school teaches different methodology.
Sure.
So what changes have you seen since you got out of school? And do you see anything in the future that's going to enhance or bring chiropractic to the next level, whatever that may be?
Well, if I can go back a little bit, so I'm a 3rd generation chiropractic physician.
Oh, you are?
I am. So I grew up in South Carolina, and my grandfather was one of the first ones in Aiken, South Carolina. And he was always a forward thinker, and he was always, I think, ahead of his time. So just a real quick kind of neat story. So President Eisenhower used to come in his motorcade to go see my grandfather for treatment because he had some spinal issues, but he also had a lot of gastrointestinal issues. So way back then, my grandfather would make real yogurt. So if you've never made real yogurt, there's an art to doing it. So he would come in for his treatment, and he would always get his yogurt. So he would make sure wherever he was going, they would come through Aiken, South Carolina, wherever he was going, and then when they'd come back, they'd come back
wow.
through again. So that's kind of a neat story.
Yeah, that's really neat.
So another neat thing about that is when I worked in my grandfather's office, that's when they had the old X-ray technology to where you actually had to dip the films in
Oh,
the
wow.
developer, and then you hang them up.
Yeah.
So I learned
I
to do
remember
that.
that.
I learned to do that as a kid. And then, of course, I worked in my mom and dad's office years later, and I grew up there, so I grew up in the business. And so I have seen a lot of change. You know, I saw my mom and dad help so many people throughout the years, but I think one of the things that makes my office maybe a little bit different from another chiropractic physician's office is that, you know, I do an exam and x-ray on most of my patients, you know, unless they have them already and they bring them in, because I want to know what that spine looks like on the inside. You know, to see is to know, and to not see is to guess, and I will not guess with a patient's health. That's not fair to you or me, because how can I best help you if I don't know what you look like? I mean, most people, I think, when they go to the dentist, I wouldn't want my mouth worked on unless I had an x-ray of it so they know exactly which
Yeah,
area
of
to
course,
work on,
sure.
right? So that's just kind of a small example. But so over the years in my practice, you know, I have developed what I think is a very good niche, because I also do health and wellness in my practice. You know, I know that in order to support the spine, you also have to address whether it's the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, the discs, the bones, the nerves, but that also incorporates nutrition, okay? Because I see so many people, especially in the state of Florida, that could be, you know, hunched over. Well, a lot of that can be prevented, you know, if they have the proper nutrition, okay? So, because the spine needs that, the muscles need that, the ligaments need that. So I think that's a very important aspect. I have people that come from all over just to come for that part of my practice, whether they've ever been a chiropractic patient or not.
Just for the nutritional.
Yes, the nutritional aspect. I have patients, you know, I did telehealth medicine long before, you know, what it is today. And so, you know, and a lot of times a person has a goal, if they can, to wean off prescription medications. So I always talk to their primary care physician or whoever prescribed that medication, and if that's a goal of theirs, you know, we help them do that. And we transfer it to something on a holistic basis. So I think, you know, I see that coming as a big, huge change and continued change, especially with all the baby boomers, all the people that are retiring, the people that are moving here to the great state of Florida. You know, you want to be healthy. You want to have quality of years and quantity of years, because what good is one without the other?
Yeah, yeah, oh, I agree, totally. And as on a prime example, people are living longer.
Oh, yeah.
And being active longer. And so their activity obviously is an important factor too. I mean,
Yes.
if you sit around and vegetate, you're going to
Be a
hurt.
couch potato.
Yeah, yeah. And so I've learned over the years that, you know, I work, I could work years ago, 6, 7 hours in the yard would be nothing. 2 hours now, I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah, well, you should be. You've earned that right.
My legs don't want to go anymore. I said to Barb, as I was working in the yard this weekend, and I said to Barb, God, I got to sit down. My legs don't want to work anymore. So, so yeah, lifestyle obviously is important. And I know you do a complete diagnosis. I know that.
Yes.
Yeah, and
But that's okay. People can practice, you know, the way that their philosophy is, you know.
as an important part of the business community, obviously you're very active and you live with Doug, who obviously you're entitled to know a lot of things that are going on. And how do you perceive our economy in Martin County right now, and what do you see coming forward?
So I think right now, you know, businesses are booming. You know, more people are moving here. I think, one, they want the sunshine. They want the beautiful beaches. We have amazing parks. I mean, there's so many parks here that I haven't even been to all of them yet. I don't know about you.
I know, no, I haven't.
You know,
Shame on me.
Big thing now is pickleball. But I mean, they have things for children. They have things for brand new families. They have things for seniors. You know, they have things for middle-aged people. There's something for everyone here in Martin County. And I know that we have to have some growth. I'm not for overgrowth, but I'm for smart growth. you have to have a little bit of growth or you'll shrivel up and die. You don't want that either. But I think that we live in an amazing place. There's a lot more opportunity here than used to be. When I first moved here, it was like a little sleepy town, but compared to someone who had been here 20 years prior to that, it wasn't at the time.
Right.
But now, as we move forward, I think that it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise children. I do want to continue to see smart choice businesses to be developed here so that our kids for today, if they go off and go to college and they have a reason to come back and invest in the economy here again, and raise their families here. And I do know of some certain companies that are going to be moving here. Well, we talked about one at the board meeting. So I think that is an important aspect to be able to continue to develop the economy, but to invest back in it, not just financially, but to actually be present and be there.
Thank you. And you just mentioned something I was so happy to talk to Kelly about, to see someone. I watched Kelly from
Yeah.
a teenager
Yeah.
to go off to Gainesville and come back home, and now was just running her family
she's
business.
great. She's great. Love Kelly.
So that's great. I love those stories. Another one is Erica Canane.
Yeah.
In fact, she played on the same volleyball team in high school as Kelly.
Oh, really?
So we used to go, and then she went off, of course, to Tallahassee, but she come back now as running her mom's business.
That's great. I didn't know that. I didn't know she was running Sue's business.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So a lot of people think, and you touched on it, a lot of people think you have to have back problems to go see a chiropractor.
Oh,
So talk about that.
okay. So I love to talk about it. I love what I do, in case you can't tell.
I
love to help people. So we have just as many patients that come to see us that they come in for wellness checks, what I call wellness checks. So you get your eyes checked periodically, right?
Yeah.
You get your teeth checked, correct?
Yeah.
Because you want to keep them. You want them to be healthy.
Yes.
Well, it's plain and simple. Without your spine, you're not doing anything physically, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, I tell people a lot of times, if you don't know what your spine looks like, come in for what I call a tune-up, a checkup. Get the oil changed in your car, correct? It won't run without it, correct?
Right. Absolutely. You
Most
need a
cars
tune-up.
won't. You need a tune-up. So whatever the case is, whatever type of healthcare condition that a person wants to learn about or know about, I'm very accessible. They can call me, they can text me, they can email me. And when patients call or potential patients call and they'll say, Dr. Lisa, how long will I have to wait to come in and see you? Do I have to wait 4 weeks, a month, 2 months? I just look at them and I say, no, we don't make patients wait. I just make more hours.
And I know you
I've
do
never
that.
make a patient wait.
I know that.
That's terrible,
It is.
right? A person needs to be seen right away.
Absolutely. Especially if they're in pain.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
especially if they're in pain.
Yeah. So we're winding down here.
Already?
I want to
Okay.
well, we still have time. And I want to give you the opportunity to talk about something that maybe we haven't discussed.
Okay.
What would that be, Amelia?
Well, okay, sure. We can talk about it.
And by the way, I'm glad to see that you're off the cane.
Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Doug and I have certainly been blessed to, we found each other, 8 years ago already. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
8 years.
Wow. No. It's all,
And so, when you connect with somebody, you just connect with them. And, I've come in contact with so many people over the years that said that, that I have changed his life. Well, he's changed my life also in a positive manner. So we connect, we just jive together. So when we were dating, we talked about, what if we ever had the blessing of having a child together? Because as you know, Doug has not had any biological children until Amelia, but, he has Ian and Alexis. So he's their stepfather. But so we had the miracle of having Amelia, October 23rd, 2020. And, Doug just turned 60 and in March, and I'm 54. But I was 52 when we had her, so he was 58 when we had her. But she is absolutely amazing. She's perfect. She's wonderful. But I do want to go back just a little bit. So when we were dating, considering dating, I said to him, I said, if you're going to date me, you're going to have to be healthy. And it's not that he wasn't, but he says, well, what do you mean? So then I talked to him about, internally and external health. And so he said, well, I'll do whatever you ask me to do. So he does, and he has. And, I'm healthy. I've always been active my whole life. I take care of myself. I'm probably one of the most positive people you will ever meet. And I love what I do. I love my profession. I love my family. I love the community. And my ultimate goal for every person that I ever come in contact with is for them to feel better after we've met.
That's a good goal.
Always.
Great goal.
So Amelia she'll be 18 months next week. And she started walking at 9 months. We didn't push her to walk. I should say she started running at 9 months because she runs constantly, all the time. She's smart. She's talking already. She says hi to everybody. Everybody that we're strolling along the stroll, she says hi, hi.
Well, I want to comment on two things, and
Sure.
Doug might not like this, but
That's
you
okay.
have certainly softened them up,
Oh, well.
I think. And I can remember when you were pregnant, and Doug was in my office for some reason or other, and we got to talking about the baby, or when the baby was going to be born, and I said, I'm going to tell you something. The minute that you hold that little thing in your arms, your life will never be the same.
Yeah.
I've not talked to him since then, but I know.
Well, I'll tell you, so many people have told him that, and before she was born.
Uh-huh.
And then, he loves that little girl.
Oh, I know.
He's a great dad, and she loves him too. They have really bonded. And so, he's...
Well, that's then, and most times, it's even with your children, it's opposite sex thing. Don't you think?
Yeah,
Daughters
yeah.
bond more. Were you close with your dad?
I was very close to my father, growing up. Also my mother, and I'm still very close to them. I talk to them twice, 3 times a day still. Because they
Thank God you still have them.
Yes, I'm very blessed that I have them. But they're still pretty young. They had me when they were young. But
Good.
they were high school sweethearts, and they've been together for, 58 years in June.
Wow.
So, yeah,
God,
they
that's
still like
great.
each other.
They still speak.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Still sleep in the same bed. So that's a
Well,
good
that's
thing.
really good.
Yes.
Well, Doc, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
And I
It was fun.
love having you here.
Great fun.
And maybe we'll you come back again.
Okay. Love to.
Okay.
Love to.
Thank you.